hood drops. This book is dedicated to the hardworking men and women of the world, especially those who travel for work. Chapter 1, Road Trash. He didn't mind the name, not anymore. It bothered him at first. But the more he hated it, the more they called him names like Road Trash and worse. Then one day he accepted it. He accepted his place in the grand scheme of things. 26 years in this business taught him that everyone grows calluses on the hands and every inch of one's weathered body, even where the sun refuses to shine. Some say you can find a man's soft spot by pressing his buttons. Jake's soft spot had hardened and grown calluses many years ago. Another 60-hour-a-week job completed, and his next one here in the suburbs of Toledo would be more hours. Shutdowns at the gas refineries always went 7/12s, usually more when you add in the voluntary 14 to 16-hour days. He would work all available hours, and why not? He didn't have a family and nothing better to do except sit in the trailer and get blitzed. He had been selling himself to the highest bidder for so long, he forgot what it had been like in the early days of his career. 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, a 40-hour week became a part-time job somewhere along the way. Time hadn't been gentle to Jake. The years of grinding metal and breathing toxic flux and burning metal fumes deep into his now blackened lungs showed on his face. Deep creases permanently dusted with black soot etched across his leathery skin like a road map. A map that had shown him the way to hell and back. Endless days spent hunched over and twisted around a length of pipe in spaces sometimes the size of a medium dog kettle had twisted his spine into a permanent knot that even the strongest narcotic couldn't untie. He would know he had tried them all. Alcohol didn't dull the pain either, but at least it dulled the senses enough that he could bear it long enough to fall asleep, as fitful as it might be. Life under the hood, he wouldn't change it for the world. The trade had been good to him, but it also robbed him of life. 60 hours a week for a short check, 70 for a good week, and 96 for a full boat. 7 days, 12 hours, if you're counting. He couldn't remember the last time he had a weekend. Weekend? Don't have them. His mind and body had been through the proverbial fire. It didn't purge anything, and he didn't have anything to show for the years he put in. A truck and camper pulled behind had been his home for years, and everything he owned would fit between the two. He also had a small plot of land he had bought 10 years back, and once wanted to build a house on it. Now he thought more and more about hauling his trailer up there and living in it. He'd paid cash for the land, and he owned the truck and trailer outright, and with his little stash he could retire debt-free and live comfortably if he wanted. Retiring at 44 would leave a long time of doing nothing but sucking down suds and watching soap opera. He liked the job site drama and couldn't get up and walk away, but life on the road had caught up with him and he knew it. He knew the time had come to pass the stinger. He watched as the colors exploded across the evening sky. Orange and yellow clouds, tinged with pink and red, floated like a dream against the blue canvas. The sun inched its way to the horizon, creating a mixture of hues that human hands only wished it could create. A wistful smile glanced at his face. What is the past but an illusion seen from different angles by different people? Who's right? Who's wrong? A question for another day. He plunged his hand into the ice chest and fished out for another. He found it and popped the top. He threw his head back and guzzled. The cold fizz tickled Jake's throat as it made its way to his empty stomach. It brought instant satisfaction. The cold beer he knew would be his dinner again tonight. He tugged at a string fluttering in the wind and followed it with his eyes to the dilapidated canopy. He tugged and twisted until it broke free, rolling it between his fingers and throwing it to the concrete below. The more time he spent inside, the smaller the room grew in the withered green and white trailer he called home. Sitting outside watching the sunset offered him a bit of freedom. He had been living this way for 15 years, ever since Molly. Jake reached into his billfold and pulled out a scrap of paper, tattered and worn, ink barely visible. The strip of paper had Bank of Philadelphia printed on top. Balance $0, 0 cents on bottom. He rubbed the paper between his fingers and brought it to his face, touching it to his cheek. What do you mean, balance 0? Jake asked. The computer gives a balance, the young blonde-haired teller said. There should have been 60 grand in there. I'm sorry, sir. Would you like me to call my manager? She asked. What the hell?